Well, it's been 8 months since I kind of initially wanted to, maybe not quite that long, because I started testing these Biophile products in November. I believe it was the November 2020 Beauty Heroes box, which set me off on this interesting trajectory of thinking about, mostly thinking about, not really testing, thinking about reading about microbiome-focused skincare. So after obviously extensively testing these products, I have really well-formed thoughts, which I'm going to talk you through today. And I wanted to do a little bit of a more extended exposition on this approach to skincare. Now, this video will not be perfect. I put that expectation on myself, and that's why it's taken me so long to do, because this is a really big topic. I was quite influenced for a period of time by the beauty reporter Jessica DeFino, and then I more recently, through other avenues, have found my way back to Nadine Artemis's work and Living Libations, which is this kind of whole own sub-story. She has been talking about skin microbiome for a very long time. You know, we're kind of acting like skinimalism is this new trend, but there have been vocal and well-researched voices in green beauty for like a decade that have, or longer, that have been making these really important connections. So let me first talk you through just a review of these 3 Biophile products. 2 of them came in the Beauty Heroes box, so just consider this a very belated review. I guess I will cover them again in my 2021 retrospective whenever that happens. I was really excited to get this box when it showed up, because it's always exciting to get to try a brand that's you've never tried before, that I hadn't even heard of before, and that actually has a different perspective than same old, same old. Not that there's not a lot of new and exciting things going on in the realm of eco beauty, but I just had never really encountered anything like this. The Beauty Heroes ambassadors had the opportunity to do like a brand education call with Allison, I believe, is the scientist behind this brand. And the 2 products that had come in the Beauty Heroes box were the Bioshroom Rejuvenating Serum and the Root Bionic Refining Essence. Now, there's only 3 products that Biophile does. They also do this Bio Barrier Nourishing Oil, which I received to test as well, but was not part of the box. So the first step would be the essence, the second step would be the serum, and the third step would be the oil. And they are meant to, of course, as every brand says, all be used together, act symbiotically. That's how you reap the most benefits. And the fact that it's a 3-step process, I think, makes that more manageable than other brands who have more products and they're saying you need to use more products than just 3. 3 is pretty manageable. So the Bioshroom Rejuvenating Serum won an Indie Beauty Expo Best in Show in 2019 award. They didn't do awards in 2020. That I'm aware of. I'll cover it maybe briefly when I do that wrap up, which is coming up and will probably be an unpopular video, or it's a video I'm really dreading doing because I just found almost all of the products I tested to be flops. I'll kind of tell you how I used these. I initially started out testing all 3 as part of a nighttime skincare routine. And I discovered after the first 2, maybe 3 uses, and I don't even remember if I did consecutive days. It was very clear to me at the outset that the essence, the first step, was too harsh for me personally. I am a normal to sensitive skin type, and this was before I started testing these before I got pregnant. My skin was kind of behaving normally for me, but after just a couple uses of this, I was like, okay, so that's too intense for me to use every day. They actually say you're supposed to use this whole system morning and night. My face would probably fall off if I used the essence in particular morning and night. This is like a once or twice a week PM product for me. It says a radiance boosting treatment for devitalized skin, perfect prep for our serum. I just didn't find that I could tolerate it very well at all. And look, I'm not going to go into a lot of the technicalities of the formulation of these. An overarching perspective on this brand and most microbiome-focused skincare brands is that they're utilizing fermentation processes with their ingredients to create, I think in most cases, and I know in Biophile's case, what are called postbiotics. So it's the end result of the fermentation process. Ultimately, what it's supposed to do is help rebalance the microbiome of your skin topically. So feeding beneficial bacteria, diminishing bad bacteria, and keeping the skin microbiota in balance. The serum I found to be okay. It was certainly not a revolutionary product for me. I say that with the caveat that I don't have problem skin. I do not deal with breakouts, and maybe that's even the wrong way to phrase that. I don't feel that my skin flora, microbiome, is imbalanced. It gets to be like a very complex topic because the skin microbiome is obviously connected to the gut microbiome, is connected to the oral microbiome. I ended up retiring this around the same time I made the decision. At this point, I was pregnant. This was like late winter. And you may remember, some of you on social media, seeing me say, I just want to throw out every single serum on my skincare cabinet. I just want to use like oil cleanser and oil and toner and like maybe a little bit of balm. And I feel like that's all that I need. So this got put on the chopping block with many other water-based serums. There is hyaluronic acid in this too, which was an ingredient that I was just scouring all of my products for to eliminate because I got really fed up with extraneous skincare. And I'm not saying that it is necessarily extraneous, or it could have been being newly pregnant, wanting a lot of simplicity, going through a lot of hormonal skin changes where basically during pregnancy, it happened when I was pregnant in 2018 and it has happened now. I just get very dry and I do the bare minimum. I just kind of let my skin do its thing, which is, you know, according to people like Nadine Artemis and Jessica DeFino and a lot of these microbiome focused people, you really shouldn't be using products because even a lot of eco products are very disruptive to the skin's microbiome. Persona non grata for me are emulsifying cleansing products. Not all of them, but I mean, it's such an axe that I have to grind with emulsifying cleansing oils in particular because it just feels like such a bastardization of what is supposed to be like a very skin supportive process that's been modified for like convenience. It's something I feel strongly about because I think real oil cleansing, non-emulsifying oil cleansing is one of the most beneficial things that most people can do for their skin. Off my soapbox. Once I eliminated this and I was using this like pretty regularly. And once I took it out, I just literally noticed absolutely no difference in my skincare routine. However, I did continue to keep using the oil. And as you can see, I used most of it up. You know, is it any better or different than, you know, other oils that I had used? I liked that it was very kind of light and simple. This is definitely the simplest product in Biophile's range. It has a really nice light, it's kind of like a very light neroli, floral neroli scent. But like, I don't know, it was pleasant to use. I believe it has like fermented green tea oil in it. Again, I don't have the ingredients up in front of me. But I enjoyed just when I was just made the commitment to just sticking to oils, this with toner I found to be quite nice as part of a spring skincare routine. However, it also did not leave me with the impression that I couldn't live without it or I had to have it or that it was performing any differently based on the philosophy of supporting the microbiome than other oils that I have and really like. It didn't distinguish itself functionally, even though philosophically it positions itself to function differently. Does that make sense? I think that people have seen more radical changes and results than I personally did with these. And it's interesting because I don't see this brand ever talked about in microbiome focused skincare circles, which I find interesting. Now, it is a high price point, so that I think that's also worth mentioning. They're upwards of $100, like $120. The oil might be $80. I mean, they're like a luxury price point. That leads me to this point that I'm sure will sound not foreign to many of you. Well, if our skin really has the inherent capability and capacity to balance itself, and of course there are so many aspects to that, like water, food, nutrition, sunlight, which is something that's really, I've been reading and researching a lot about sun and reforming my position to the sun. Maybe I look a little bit more tan to you. That's a whole video or podcast episode unto itself. Vitamin D production from healthy sunlight exposure is integral to having a balanced skin microbiome. So, I mean, I resort to this perspective that is not new. I think we're about to get a summer thunderstorm, so it just got like kind of dark. You know, if the way that our skin appears really has very little to do with topicals, which I do believe, what does justify then products like this? Now, I have always maintained that there are aspects to a beauty experience and a beauty ritual that are beyond function. So even if everyone were to, you know, completely eschew all products and go primal and not use soap and all of this stuff, I think that there are always going to be those tactile, sensorial, pleasurable elements to beauty that certain people enjoy. Some people are always going to be purely functional when it comes to this, and some people are going to really enjoy more of an experience. And now this is where Living Libations comes in. So I first explored Living Libations when I was just getting into eco beauty 10 plus years ago, and I think I placed my first order with them around 2011 or 2012. I remember the apartment that I was living in. I had gotten Best Skin Ever and some of their chocolate. I was quite taken, you know, with the brand and the philosophy. I was really interested in the oral, dental, holistic dental perspective. I still am. And then I kind of went through my own issues with green beauty around 2016 when things started to change and clean beauty came into being and started using a totally different approach to sell products that was very problematic, which we have detailed so many other places and talked about so much. I don't know, I started feeling quite turned off by Living Libations, and it felt very, I don't even know, like the right way to describe it that doesn't sound overly disparaging, but it was just based on things that I was going through personally. And I found now it's almost kind of like coming full circle. And I think it's no accident that being pregnant, I'm sort of reevaluating a lot of this stuff and returning to a lot of my personal core interests and values around beauty and what I really think matters and what I really think works. And so revisiting some of Nadine's work, she's done so many interviews, so many podcasts. She has been talking about the skin microbiome for a really long time, which is why I think it's funny that contemporary beauty reporters like want a lot of credit for talking about skinimalism, championing the skin microbiome and not buying products, because obviously there have been people that have been talking about this for a while. I'm just pulling up my computer quickly. Living Libations fits into this picture for me because it's a brand that, in my opinion, seeks to capture that element of beauty that is both function and pleasure, or like that aspect or element of beauty that is beyond function, and why some of us continue to buy beautiful products that we enjoy because it's not purely functional. So that's why I think this whole microbiome-focused skincare trend is interesting, because you're trying to sell products based on essentially like a no product philosophy. There's an article on Living Libations, which I'll link in the show notes. It's called Our Bacteria, Beauticians for Glowing Skin. Our skin is a tapestry teeming with microbes. We live our lives in a perpetual bacteria bloom. She's talking about the ecosystem of the skin and everything that we are faced with in modern life that suppresses innate skin function. She has a couple steps where she says, stop using synthetic cosmetics. After we've stepped away from synthetics, we can bring in a bevy of botanicals. The third step is to reseed the skin and the guts with beneficial bacteria. So this is kind of going counter to what I just said about topicals kind of only doing so much, which I think I still agree with. But she says the skin and guts are inexplicably bound, and both healthy skin and healthy guts are lined with billions of beneficial microbes. Research indicates that a flourishing body-wide microbiome boosted by oral probiotics. See, this is also, I feel, maybe I don't know when she wrote this, there's no publication date on it, but there have also been alternative practitioners that are basically anti-supplement, anti-probiotic, because it doesn't, it's like giving your system a band-aid so that it doesn't produce and work itself. whole other discussion. Now, sometimes I do think that supplementation can help to get people's levels up, no matter kind of what they're working on, whether it's vitamin D, rebalancing the gut. I mean, there's so many strategies for doing that, right? I just wanted to point out that that perspective that actually taking oral probiotics is not so straightforward, and there is some division in whether people think that that's the right approach, particularly in the long term. I'm not sure that many people would debate it in the short term with kind of like acute issues, but I'm sure someone does. There's a contrarian out there for everything. She says, when applied topically, probiotics provide bacterial balance to the skin, which prevents harmful bacteria from predominating and creating an inflammatory immune response. Friendly flora naturally produce antimicrobial peptides that prevent bacterial infections. These improve healing and day-to-day skin health by encouraging cell growth and proliferation in addition to protecting the skin from infection. Topically applied probiotics rebuild microbial diversity that's been depleted. She says Living Libations Brilliant Biotics, I guess is a product they have, is a truly gluten-free probiotic bustling with 50 billion colony-forming units grown on an inulin prebiotic. She says, simply open a Brilliant Biotic capsule, add to a wholesome skin serum or honey mask, and apply. So, I mean, I'm sure that there are other people that have probably been touting topical probiotics as long as she has or longer than she has, but I did just want to point out that this is not necessarily a new discussion. It's just been more fringe for a while. Now, through someone like Jessica DeFino, for example, who I think has popularized the idea with younger millennials and Gen Z and like kind of the prime beauty consumer. I am 39 and probably no longer as much the prime beauty consumer as I was like in my late 20s, right? That's who the market really wants to capture. Jessica DeFino has been a very loud and outspoken voice that products are not the answer. However, she does give spotlight and attention to several microbiome-focused skincare brands, in particular Symbiome and For the Biome. Another brand in our midst that works on this, but not packaged the same way as Iuna. Their products are very, very focused on balancing the skin microbiome and creating a balanced microbiota. I love the way that when they say it in Spanish, but I think it's the same word in English and Spanish. Iuna, in my opinion, has been more effective for me personally than the Biophile products, I will just say. And Iuna is one of the few brands that I think, in a lot of cases, I mean, there have been some misses for me with the brand, but I see results very prominently, for example, with the Essence or the moisturizers, the creams as well, although I'm also really trying to disavow myself from most water-based moisturizers, to be honest. The products are very effective, and I have just heard that echoed across the board, whereas the word of mouth, kind of word on the street that I've heard with Biophile is mixed. I have done a little bit of digging into For the Biome and Symbiome. There's also Dr. Elsa Youngman, who I hear people talking a lot about, which is another microbiome-focused skincare line. I'm sure there are plenty of others that I don't know about, and to be honest, like, don't really care to know about, because I'm intending to re-explore Living Libations. It's a brand that has started speaking to me again, because it's one of the few brands that is still out there championing oil cleansing and the importance of oils for the skin. For the Biome would be the brand that I would maybe explore, but again, they have like a $100 face serum that just seems excessive. I don't know how necessary. However, For the Biome is a little more appealing to me than Symbiome because there's a master herbalist behind the brand. One of the two founders is a master herbalist, so I appreciate that perspective. Symbiome feels like kind of more corporate. What I noticed too, the language of a lot of these brands, even Living Libations to some extent, although less, there's a real focus, like Biophile, Symbiome, For the Biome, like there's a real plea to scientific progressivism, technological progressivism, and being accepted as a scientifically backed, evidence-based product. And I guess that's just like culturally, I guess that's where we're at, and it's infusing itself into the world of beauty. I personally want to run in the other direction. It's not appealing rhetoric or to me at all, honestly. And also it's not, I wouldn't see it as part of this skinimalism moment, which is that the skin has inherent functions, but that perspective for me rests more heavily on like body being in balance perspective, which in the lives that most of us lead actually does require active work and maintenance, because most of us do not live in health supportive environments with food grown in, you know, healthy soil, breathing clean air all the time, drinking clean water. Like, these things are not accessible to a lot of people right now. But for example, I'm on the Biophile website. They talk about their biotic broths, which are the basis proprietary biotic broths. The broths are combined with advanced actives and bio-based ingredients to create sophisticated, supercharged products that work with the natural biology of your skin. I've just been in this space, and maybe this is a good note to end on because I've been talking for a long time and I have to go pick up my kid at daycare pretty soon. I am just in a place too where I'm like peeling back the rhetoric. I'm peeling back how things are packaged. I'm seeing what's underneath the surface. Like, it's when you start to see through a lot of the marketing veneers, even in eco beauty, I do think that the market is completely oversaturated and it creates a lot of overwhelm. But being able to like cut through the noise and the rhetoric is an invaluable skill. And that's why I still just love doing LAMOUR so much and getting to try this stuff and share my perspective with you and my thought process for how I'm thinking about these things that I hope add some utility to your own process and exploration, because it's really not frivolous. Like, these topics are very deep, in my opinion. I've always seen beauty, skincare, you know, whatever it is, as a pathway to just deeper conversations about health and healing and well-being. I'll include some links and references down below, the Biophile website for you to go read through a little bit more extensively. The Living Libations stuff, kind of these other microbiome-focused skincare sites, Jessica DeFino's work for you to go explore for yourself. So I hope this video, I didn't overpromise what it was going to be. I mean, this is not like a cut and dry black and white topic. It's very complex in my opinion, and this has just been such an interesting exploration for me that I'm going to continue doing. So part 2 of this discussion for me will probably be the re-forays into Living Libations, really as a complement to other healing work that I'm interested in, especially as I'm in the process of getting ready to have another baby and going through a postpartum period. So my lens on beauty, I think, is a little bit biased right now, given where I'm at in my life. But rest assured, I will continue to be here on YouTube, plugging away at these in-process issues. I hope you find them interesting. Everywhere you can find me and follow my work will be down below. Patreon, my podcast, Instagram, private Instagram stories for patrons, my newsletter. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'd love to chat with you in the comments, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.